guys, it's Emily from ChildcareCRM. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are here to tell you how to stop wasting money on marketing. It's not uncommon that clients are coming to me day after day saying, look, we're using our CRM to the best of its ability, our tours are coming in and they are converting, but we're just not converting as many as we need to, and we're not sure where to start the process in looking for better business decision-making skills. So I thought, who better to have here with us than Tom from 2C Marketing. We've been working together for years. He's a royal pain, but he's the best at what he does. So he has put together a presentation for you on how to stop wasting money in marketing and build brand awareness, and I really think you're going to find value in this. And after this, we'll wrap up and talk about maybe what your next steps could be or how you can have Tom and his team help in your center. So Tom, take it away.
Okay, thanks Emily for that nice introduction. Really quick for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tom Condon. I'm a founding partner of 2C Marketing and Design Group. I have been in marketing for over 15 years. I actually started in 1998 when I graduated college, but I spent some time as an editor for a publishing company, and I was in PR for a while. But the majority of my career has been spent in marketing. Excuse me. The last 2 years specifically, I've been working in childcare, which is what I'm doing here today. A little over a year ago, I founded 2C with my wife, Sarah, who is an art director and a design ninja. She's awesome, done all kinds of stuff, branding, anything. And let me tell you, it's really handy when you're starting a marketing agency to be married to this. So we built 2C as a drop-in marketing company. A drop-in marketing department. It's specifically built for companies that can't justify a full-time staff, or if you're lucky enough, you might have like a marketing person. But sometimes things get really big. If you're implementing the childcare CRM system, or if you have a big campaign coming up, or you just need help, this is what we're here for. So that is to say, we're specifically built for childcare companies. And here's the salesy pitch. We recently started offering package deals, and the reason we did is to make it even easier. I mean, every business owner, any small business owner is busy. I can attest to that. Childcare owners are specifically like really, really busy. So we tried to at least put a few things out there in packages that are just make it easy for you to look at and go, yeah, I need this. You know, I know what I want. I just need somebody to go deal with it. You can go to the site, click on package deals, check it out. Okay, enough salesy stuff, enough sales pitch. Let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about how to stop wasting money on marketing. Now, you might be wondering, why is a marketing guy saying, you know, don't waste your money on marketing? I'm not saying not to spend money on marketing. Unfortunately, it's part of the deal. You have to. But it's really easy to waste money on marketing. And more to the point, it's easy to put things out there and not even be sure if you are wasting money on marketing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So what am I about to tell you? Okay, we're going to start just by talking about what part of the sales funnel we're talking about. Because when you say marketing, it means different things to different people, and it's a pretty big topic when you get down to it. So we're going to talk about specifically what we're talking about. Then we're going to define what an impression is, at least as far as what I'm talking about today. Then we're going to talk about how impressions work. Excuse me, how they really work, because there's some, I'm going to call it misconceptions. There's some misconceptions out there. So we're going to talk about how they really work. Then we're going to go up 30,000 feet and talk about just a quick marketing concept about basically where you want to have your brain when you're building your whole marketing program. After that, we're going to talk about how impressions really, really work. Then, here's the good stuff. I'm going to give you 5 crucial tips on how to make the most of your impressions and to stop wasting money on marketing. Then we're going to do a quick recap because I'm going to throw some stuff out. I want to make sure you got it. Okay, so if you're familiar with our last video blog series, we did a video blog series called How You're Losing Childcare Leads and How to Fix It. You're familiar with this little sales funnel. This is the life of the lead. You can find those blogs on our blog page on our website. go check it out if you want. Really quick, left to right, you start with impressions. This is how people find you. They turn into leads. This means they're interested. Then they enter the actual sales process. This is the tour. This is, your CRM is involved. This is where you take their money. That's good. Then they become enrollments. So what part of this are we talking about? For the most part, this is what we're talking about, the beginning, getting people in the door. For the sake of being thorough, because I'm going to be talking about the CRM, and the middle of the sales funnel is where the CRM really comes in. But we're going to be talking a little bit about this too. But mainly we're talking about impressions. So what's an impression? So broadly defined, an impression is any interaction with a piece of content and an audience member. It's anything you have out there in the world that is representing you and your brand. And you can see, everybody knows Coca-Cola, right? You got their website, it looks like from India. You have Google ad, Facebook page, any social media. You have a contest, rewards program, any print ads, anything. I don't even know what this is, a giant Coke can. This is Coca-Cola money we're talking about. Swag, hats, t-shirts, stuff. Anything out there that's representing you. Excuse me. So this is what gets them in the door. This is what makes them take notice of your brand, your company, your center. So how do impressions work? Now this is an ideal situation, and there's kind of a common misconception out there, and it's not just in childcare, it's everywhere. And this is how it works. So okay, in this example, that's your potential customer, that's your center, in case you didn't catch that. So your potential customer sees one magazine ad and is hooked. Wow, that looks cool. I'm going to go do that. It doesn't have to be a magazine ad. It can be anything, any impression. This is what a lot of people think about. I talk to a lot of people in the first conversation, I say, well, what are you doing? What do you got out there? Well, we have our website, and we did some advertising in the local magazine, but we did it for a month and it didn't really bring anybody in. I'm about to tell you why. But in fairness, I need to say, this does occasionally work like this. Occasionally, and not very often. Enough that you should not rely on this. Let me explain why it doesn't work. So there's a thing in marketing, it's kind of a golden rule, it has been for a while. It's called the rule of 7, which says a minimum of 7 impressions within an 18-month period is required to penetrate the buyer's consciousness. I know, it sounds a little heavy. The point is, it takes a bunch of impressions over a certain amount of time to get in their head. This is an old marketing mantra. This guy, Jeffrey Lamb, came up with it in the 80s. He wrote a book. And don't worry, there's not going to be a pop quiz. You don't have to write that name down. It doesn't matter. If you're a marketing nerd like I am and you read marketing blogs and articles and whatever, there's a lot of people that debate this. There's a lot of people that say this is completely irrelevant because of the internet. This was built when, or he came up with this when a salesperson had to contact a person and say, blah, blah. Here's my take on it. You're both right. The way he meant it is kind of irrelevant at this point, but I think the people that are talking about the internet and saying you don't need these impressions are not counting all of the online impressions as impressions. All right, I know I just said a bunch of stuff. So how many impressions does it take? Well, it depends on a couple things, first of all. It depends on your market. It depends on who you're targeting. It depends on your competition and what they're doing. If you're one of 2 centers in a town, it's going to take a lot less impressions to get in people's head. If you're, we have a client who they're in a metro area and literally have 22 direct competitors within 1.5 miles of them. It takes them a lot more impressions to get their point across. So I still haven't answered you. How many? Here's the rule to go by. The more impressions you can make, the better. And it takes at least 3, and here's the theory behind that. The first impression, and this is, keep in mind, that people are actually paying attention. Because think about what I just said there. You have fractions of a second. People don't care. They're flipping by you. They're scrolling past you. So this is assuming that that first impression even caught them enough for them to go, what is that? So, okay, assuming that they did, because they don't. Well, what's that? Oh, childcare. Second impression. Well, what kind of childcare? What do they do? Where are they? Are they close to my house? What do they offer? What are their differentiators? What makes them different from the other, the other place? And the third impression and anything beyond that is really just a reminder that you're there and what you're about. The point is, it takes more, excuse me, more than one impression to get through to these people. So how do impressions really work? Here's the reality. And we're going to use a summer push, a summer camp campaign as the example. So potential customer flipping through a local magazine. Now, this guy he probably thinks he needs camp. It's pretty early on. He's not really looking. He's flicking through a magazine. He comes across a camp ad. Maybe he looks at it. Maybe he doesn't. Whatever. It's a thing. Walking down the street, walks in front of your center and sees a big camp banner with your deal and with whatever. Excuse me. Then he's at, the pediatrician's office, and there's a poster, there's a postcard, there's something about your camp deal. At this point, this is the third impression you've made on him. It's starting to sink in. Like, this is a camp program. This is an option for my kid to go to, even though I'm not really looking right now. Then, say they go to, takes a family to a spring event, street fair thing, and you have a booth there, and they've interacted with you, and they're still not really ready to make a decision about camp, but they've had this fourth impression. You're in their head. In the midst of all this, you come across an article. Say it's in the same magazine, because you would deal with this magazine if they had to write an article about, I don't know, your new water feature that you built for summer camp. And it starts to sink in. Then maybe they come across a trifold brochure that they picked up at the event. Maybe they're at their friend's house and they see a brochure. They see a sippy cup with your logo and they go, oh, I got to get Johnny into camp. Do you go to this, do you go to this place? Yeah, it's great. We go every year, blah, blah, blah. So then you go to Google, you're in their head. Assuming your SEO, and this is its own webinar, by the way, assuming your SEO is functioning enough that you're showing up on the first page, they already know to look for you because you're already in their head as a thing, as an option. They know you exist. Remember, it's any interaction with a piece of content and your audience member starts drilling the impressions home. Point is, it takes more than one. This is basically how it works. Now, we're going 30,000 feet up here. I'm just going to take a second before I talk about how impressions really, really work to cover this really basic concept in marketing. Because you're all marketers here. If you're watching this and you're paying attention, you're all marketers. You're marketing your center. And this, by the way, Sarah, my wife, has not seen this presentation. She has no idea that I'm using stick figures and clip art of giant sneakers, and she'd be really mad if she knew that I was. So if you do me a favor, if you wind up talking to her, don't tell her I did this because she's never going to see it. This was not approved by the 2C art director. Okay, sorry. Okay, so your marketing mind. So this is you. You have great shoes on, and they're giant. The idea is this. As marketers, you have to have 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the future. What I mean by this is while you're making decisions about the impressions for your current campaign, like your summer push, your summer campaign, you have to also be thinking about how they affect your future overall marketing program. So let me explain what I mean by that. This is how impressions really, really work. In this example, I'm the smiley face because I'm going to do this in first person because that's how I know how to do it. Okay, so I am, in this case, a young single guy. I was at one point. I no longer am. So say I move to a new town for a job or something, and I'm walking around this town and I see a poster or a postcard or something related to your summer campaign you're running. Keep in mind, I don't have kids. I'm not looking for a summer campaign. I don't care. But I've interacted with it, right? So every day I drive to work or I walk to the train or whatever it is, and I see the sign out in front of your place. I see a banner about enrollment, you know, some kind of enrollment deal. It doesn't matter. I see something going on. This is a bit later after I saw the summer campaign. In the midst of this, I meet a nice girl named Sarah, and we get together, right? She has to be named Sarah. She'd kill me. So as time goes by, this could be a year later. I'm flicking through a magazine. I see an ad. This is a local magazine about your fall enrollment deal. So at this point, Sarah and I are totally together. She's pregnant. We come across a booth at the winter festival, town festival, because she likes to do stuff like that. And you're there, and you're doing snowflake crafts and handing out postcards about some kind of, you know, winter discount that you're running. So some time passes while we're in the midst of arguing over who's going to watch this kid when it comes. You know, it's not going to be your mother. Well, it's not going to be your mother. And all of this, and we're deciding of whether or not we really need childcare. I see an article about the new baby sign language class that you've introduced, because remember, you know, you have a deal with your the magazine. Now this is the important part. This is how it really works. So at this point, we have decided that we definitely need childcare, and Sarah's writing me about researching researching centers in the area. Here's the important part. Before I pull my phone out of my pocket, before I sit down to Google, before I start asking Siri questions, I am already compiling a list of places that I know. This is the short list. This is where you want to be. And from there, you know, I'm probably going to wind up on Google, but you're already in my head as one of the, say, 3 places that I know of in town. The best example I can think of for this, there's a company by me that does plumbing and heating, and I get mailers all the time from them. They have a couple of TV ads. They're really annoying TV ads. They're on the radio. They're in every paper. They're in every local everything. They have this big orange logo. Now, I mean, they're just everywhere. They're spending a fortune on this stuff. Now, luckily, knock on wood, I have not needed a plumber, but there's going to come a time when I do. Guess who's on my short list? The annoying commercial people with the orange logo. There's something that happens by being on the short list, excuse me. By being on the short list, you have already started establishing a type of trust with your potential buyer, your potential parent, simply because they've heard of you. It's somewhat nonsensical, but it's the way it works. So when I need a plumber, I've kind of already trust them because I've heard of them. I've seen them. I know they do what I need them to do, so I'm going to look into them. And when I find them on Google, I know what they are, and I'm going to check it out. Now, I should say, this doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to hire them. I'm still going to do my research. These people are still going to research the other whatever, but you are definitely on their list of one of the places that you research. That's where you want to be. This short list is called brand awareness. So I am in no way suggesting that you spend a ton of money on just branding campaigns, meaning like that one of those first slides with all the Coca-Cola stuff. They had a huge billboard with a bunch of Coca-Cola bottles on it. It didn't say anything, didn't have any, it was just a bunch of Coca-Cola bottles. All it was reminding you that Coke is there and maybe you want to have one. That's all it does. If you have that kind of money, do it. Everybody else and pretty much everyone else, you have to make your present work for the future. Here's what I mean by that. When you're coming up with these individual campaigns, like your summer campaign or your fall campaign or your winter push or whatever, and all of the associated impressions that are involved with that, you have to ask yourself two questions. First, are there enough impressions out there for the people looking for me to find me? That's the present. Then, does this serve the greater purpose of brand awareness for the people who will want to find me? Am I going to be on that short list? Now, I should say this. This brand awareness is not absolutely imperative for you to get enrollments. You can do little one-off campaigns and get people in the door. But I'm telling you, I've been doing this long enough. You ask anybody in marketing, brand awareness is going to do nothing but help you. And it's not something that you have to actively so much work toward. You just have to have it in your head. So how do we do that? Here come the tips. This is the good stuff. Tip 1, consistent branding. If you've ever seen any blogs I've done, anything ever talk to me, cannot stress this enough. Oh, and by the way, here's another little plug. I'm going to be doing another video blog series on how to help you identify your brand. Excuse me. If you go to the site, there's a blog alert opt-in. You can go check that out later. So I'm not going to go into really what makes up a brand other than to say this. Your brand isn't just the way everything looks. I hear this all the time. Well, we have a brand. We have a logo. Your brand is your position. It's what you are to who you're after. The look, the logo, the color palette, the fonts, and all that stuff, your brand image is a reflection of your position. It supports your position. The point is, consistent branding doesn't just mean how it looks, but it's also the messaging. So, okay, consistent branding. Why do you need consistent branding? Don't make your customers do any work. Do the work for them. What am I talking about? Okay. Since we're talking about Coca-Cola, and I'm already using them all over this thing without the permission. Don't tell Coke that I'm using their pictures either, by the way. So, okay, we'll breeze over that. So think about Coca-Cola. No matter who they're targeting or what they're doing or what the thing is, everything looks the same, and the overall messaging of refreshment and fun and whatever is the same. Now imagine if Coca-Cola wasn't who they are and they did not care about their branding, and they called a couple of different ad agencies and said, look, just, I don't know, make an ad campaign that just says Coca-Cola on it. It doesn't matter, whatever. What do you wind up with? You wind up with some really weird interpretations of what Coca-Cola is, and sad little cardboard robots that just looked so sad that they had a Coca-Cola. But seriously, picture this. If on the left, say that's your print ad, in the middle, that's your social media identity, and this big guy with the tattoo on his belly, that's your television campaign. Here's the point I'm trying to make. People that come in contact with all of this have to figure out that this is the same thing. It's not telling them, hey, we're Coca-Cola, this is what we do. It's three complete, as far as they're concerned, in the 0.25 seconds they've taken to pay attention to you, these are three different things. Nobody's going to take the time. Don't make them do the work. Do the work for them. And this is across the board. This is your online presence, your website, social media, all that stuff. Any advertisements, print or otherwise, any swag you have, sippy cups, your giveaways, all this stuff, your corporate identity stuff. This is everything. Your business cards, a tour folder that you have that you put all your white papers in, your signs, any collateral, postcards, posters, everything coming out of your CRM should be branded. And again, it looks the same. It's saying basically the same thing. It's all pointing that potential customer in the same direction to make the same decision. This is huge. Tip number 2, targeting. Make sure these impressions are getting in front of the people that are looking for you or may be looking for you. Remember, that's that making the present work for the future. This one's pretty simple. If you're a local green, eco-friendly childcare center, an ad in the local holistic magazine is going to get in front of a lot more of the people looking for you than an ad in the auto shopper. It's really that simple. Another aspect of this is don't spend a bunch of money to cast such a wide net. And this really comes down to what you're comfortable spending and what the cost is and whatever. But putting an ad in the local paper is a wide net. Who's reading that paper? Your target could be reading that paper, but so are a lot of other people. And again, it comes down to the money and the ROI and whatnot. But is it money well spent? Could you put that money in the holistic magazine? You know, maybe or bulk up your Google AdWords campaign or whatever. And here's a tip within a tip. Again, you don't need to spend a ton on advertising. I know I keep talking about television ads and radio ads and whatever, and I'm sure people are like, this guy's out of his mind. Has no idea. I know. Believe me. I don't do TV ads either. You don't need to spend a ton on advertising. Community marketing is still one of the most powerful, cost-effective ways to make impressions. All you need to do is have some collateral materials made, remember, branded correctly, and we have a package for that, by the way, if you want to check that out. There's another plug. Go around to your local schools, your pediatricians, the grocery store, you know, figure out where your targets are and put yourself in front of them. These family town events, these family, town fairs that are family fun, it's a great way to get face-to-face and hand out materials, you know, takeaways for these people. And it's not a ton of money. You're not spending a bunch of money on print ads or whatever. It's a great place to start. Tip number 3, call to action. Don't just put your name out there and expect to entice people. You have to tell them what you want them to do. This can be as pointed as, say it's a Facebook ad that goes to a landing page and it says, fill out this form to receive the offer above. Or it could be something as passive, like your Facebook page has a call to action button. You have to turn it on and tell it what you want it to do. But that's a little more passive. It could just be click for more info. Whatever it is, it's telling people to do something. It's not just, hey, here we are, we hope you're interested. It's, here we are, we hope you're interested. Call us now to get this deal. It's a call to action. Along with that, include an offer wherever it's possible. People, I mean, you know this. Anybody who's paid any attention to Chris Murray, which I'm sure is the majority of you, she's always saying include an offer. Absolutely. People want to get stuff. And it doesn't matter what it is as long as people perceive it as valuable. And that's its own webinar as well. We're not going to get into that. Unless it's not part of your brand. Now, here's a total side note, but I wanted to make a point. If part of your brand is that your center is unapologetically full price all the time, that's part of your brand, and that's its own tactic. The perception is that you're worth every penny, and you're not offering deals. If you want to come here, this is what it costs. My only point in bringing that up is include an offer if that's your thing. If you're a company if you're a center that does not do offers, that's fine. You still need a call to action, though. As I said before, unless you have the money to spend on it, a big $200,000 a month billboard with your logo on it is a branding campaign. It really doesn't serve any purpose other than to just put your brand in front of people. And again, if you can afford it, knock yourself out. But the point is to make that, make your present efforts with this call to action, with the deals, work for the overall branding campaign, not to have it be its own thing. Tip number 4, this one's huge, and a lot of people get kind of tripped up with this. Track your leads and track and figure out what your return on investment is. So the first part of this, what impressions are bringing in the most leads? Whatever you have out there, track how many leads it's bringing in. When you're doing that, it allows you to try things that are maybe untested. Maybe you haven't done it, but say you feel comfortable with the amount of money you're going to spend on it, because at the end, you're going to be able to see, well, how many leads did this bring in? There's a lot of tools out there. ChildcareCRM is great at this. You can create campaigns. It will count how many leads came in through this campaign, where they are in the enrollment funnel. It'll actually track your ROI too if you put the money in. It's great stuff. You can use Google Analytics. You can set up, they're called, sorry, I'm breezing over this stuff really quick because it's kind of heavy. You can set up what are called goals so that every time somebody clicks a submit button, it tracks somebody clicked the submit button, and then you can go in and say, well, where did they come from? Which page did they come from? Which, what was the referral? There are companies out there that do phone number tracking. If you're doing, say, like we do this a lot with print ads because they're kind of hard to track. The print ad has a specific phone number on it that gets forwarded to the center, but there's a record that somebody called that phone number and they only found that phone number in one place. Landing pages, if you're doing Google AdWords, Facebook pages, here's another tip within a tip. If you're doing something like that, don't send them to your site, to your home page. You're making people figure out what it is. If you're like, we have a great summer deal, click here, and you click and it's your home page, don't do that. Send them to a landing page that says, here's the summer deal, fill out this form that's linked to our CRM so that you can get the summer deal. Sorry, tip within a tip, I know. But you can track things that way. And again, through your CRM. You can go old school, coupon codes, and always ask, where did you hear about us? But I'm telling you right now, 95% of the time, the person's going to say, I found you on Google. This is why you need to have these other things in place. So that's the tracking, that's how many leads the impressions brought in. The other part of that is, are these leads converting to enrollments? That's your return on investment. Excuse me, because you could be just tracking the leads and say, okay, well, we did a Facebook ad and we had 300 leads, but only 5 of them enrolled. Is that as good as the event that you went to? You only got 15 leads, but 10 of them enrolled. That impression, the event was more effective. And, obviously the ROI involves the cost and whatnot. Excuse me. Okay, the be careful part is this. If you're seeing a lot of leads come in to your CRM, but you're not seeing an increase in enrollments, the CRM has, I'm sure you're all aware, those of you using it, has great reporting. And you can go in and run reports and figure out, fine, we got all these leads, but nobody's enrolling. Where are we losing people? And from which impression or campaign are we losing them? So say you have 1,000 leads for this one campaign and you're not seeing the enrollments, and you go in and look and you realize you had a Facebook campaign that brought in 900 leads and nobody enrolled. That's a problem with the impression. Maybe your targeting was off, maybe your messaging was off, maybe, who knows what it was. You got to look into it. But if you're seeing across the board, you have a bunch of impressions and nobody's enrolling, that could be a different problem. That could be a problem with who's giving the tour. That could be maybe your prices are too high. Maybe your center smells, I don't know. It could be anything. The point I'm trying to make is a lack of enrollments doesn't always mean your impressions are ineffective. And be really careful about making hasty decisions without going into your CRM and looking. It could be the impression, but it could be something else. So here's a little expansion on the present future theme, okay? So in this case, you got 1 foot in the present, 1 in the future, right? You got enough impressions with consistent branding, both within each campaign and throughout all campaigns, remember, to get on that short list. You're putting it in front of the right people. You're targeting the right people that are looking for you now, and you're getting on that short list for people who will be looking. You're tracking everything that you're doing in the present, your present campaigns, to figure out what will work in the future and what doesn't, and how to best spend your marketing budget. In time, you've gathered enough information that you become the marketing ninja. You know exactly where to put impressions, how to brand them, what works, what doesn't, and how to stop wasting money on your marketing efforts. Like how I tied that in? That's good. Okay, one last tip for the road. Be patient and deliberate in what you're doing. Again, make your present efforts work for the future, both in brand awareness and what your dollars are doing for you. Track and gather now. Start building that brand awareness now. Use that data later to make better decisions. And here's a note. So if somebody tells me to be patient, that just makes me antsy. That makes me feel like I'm waiting for something. You're not waiting for anything. It just means you're going to get better at this. There's no reason to not start doing all of this today, and it'll just make you better sooner. Okay, so quick recap. What the heck did I just talk about? First off, it takes more than one impression to get in people's heads, the short term and the long term, present and the future. Brand awareness, getting on that short list, can be built with every campaign. It's just something to keep in your head, and it's really going to help you in the long run. Please, for the love of Pete, keep your branding consistent. Please. I'm not going to harp on that anymore. It drives me nuts. Make sure that brand's getting in front of the right people. You know, again, there's a lot of variables in there, but, you know, try to make smart decisions about where you're putting this stuff. Just because, I know if you're like me, I get phone calls and emails all the time. Hey, we've got a great deal for this, blah, blah, blah. I see you work with this center. But just because somebody tells you it's a great deal and it's going to get in front of the right people doesn't mean you should do it. You got to look at it and really decide what's right for your brand. Track everything you do and use what you learn from that, your ROI and your number of leads and whatnot, to make better future decisions. And lastly, be patient. It's going to happen, but get to work because it'll start working immediately. Okay. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening to me. I hope you got something useful out of this. Don't forget to check out our website for the new package deals. You can check out the blog, the stuff we did about losing childcare leads, and sign up for the branding one. Learn about who we are, what we do, and as always, feel free to contact me directly if you have questions, you want to talk about something you got going on. We are always happy to help. And I'm going to hand this back over to Emily.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I think that was awesome. I think there was a lot of value shared there. I know we've got a hard stop here today. Everybody's got to get back to their busy schedules, but thank you again for hosting this with me. And everybody, if you have questions or you want to know maybe next steps, go look at those package deals on the website, and for sure, shoot Tom an email, shoot me an email if you have any more questions. I'm happy to let you know what our experience has been like with 2C marketing. We've been more than thrilled with it, and I'm happy to share those experiences too. So again, Tom, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to doing this again with you.
Thanks, Em.